Chainsaw Man, Chapter 136. Something's happened. Something big. Far bigger than I think I could have ever imagined or seen coming in a story like Chainsaw Man. It might be better if I just showed you it myself. That's right, baby. Chainsaw Man is back. And I'm talking a woman is here to completely ruin Denji's final idealized vision of any sort of intimacy that he could have with someone of the opposite sex. Chainsaw Man is back. This is what everybody's been waiting for since part 2 started. Everybody's saying part 2 is mid, part 2 is garbage. Well, you finally got what you wished for. It's back, and it's better than ever, baby. We're ready to roll. Now I'm gonna be serious. A chapter like this it's what I've really been enjoying about part 2 of Chainsaw Man. It's another chapter of this sort of character-driven drama that I've really become a fan of. Like I said in a video I made last week when chapter 135 came out, I sort of touched on people not being happy with part 2 of Chainsaw Man. I sort of mentioned that, the pace is a bit slower than part 1 was, which some people in the comments pointed out that really it's not that much slower at all. There just seems to be a group of people out there that are dead set on not liking part 2 for some reason, and it's fine, you can do whatever you like, but this sort of character-driven drama that part 2 has offered it's really just endearing, and I think it's also sort of a natural progression for Chainsaw Man. Part 1 of Chainsaw Man was driven by a lot of things. It had that action, it had, chaotic artwork, it had a wild story that never seemed to stop surprising. Every week when you'd, open that new chapter, you'd get through it and you'd be surprised and you'd be shocked even a lot of the time. And I think that's sort of why part 2 of Chainsaw Man has kind of stepped back and focused more on its characters than I think part 1 did. Part 2 of Chainsaw Man has changed. The story, the pacing, it's not what it was in part 1. And I think that that's kind of what Fujimoto needed to do with this story. Its characters are different now. Denji, while still being quite the simple boy, is not exactly the same. And, he's still fighting because he wants attention from girls, and mainly because Chainsaw Man, or being Chainsaw Man, gives him this identity. It allows him to have a greater purpose, a more than normal life, which, as we learned from the ending of part 1, is that after all, Denji didn't really want a normal life. He did want more in the end. And then, Kobeni pops in to tell him this is a normal life, this is what people go through, blah, 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 whatever. You know the story. If you're here watching this, I assume you know the story. I hope you know the story, and I'm not spoiling things for you. But basically, Denji is not the same simple boy that he was in part 1. And that's on display, I think, in this chapter. I don't think ever throughout part 1, unless maybe towards the end. I'm probably forgetting there. He went through a lot at the end of that story. But he's sort of sulking, lethargic in a way that I don't think he would have been in part 1. He was prone to his, freakouts and blow-ups, and even when he was having his existential crises of, maybe this isn't what I wanted, everything's a lie now, I touched boobs and I don't know who I am anymore. Now he just seems almost defeated, in a way that he's walking around, head down, saying nothing to nobody. We don't even, as an audience, we don't even really get a look into what he's thinking, what he's feeling. What he's feeling is pretty clear on his face, but it seems that he's a bit more reserved now. Especially because he feels he's got something to lose. And I think that this character-driven storytelling that Fujimoto has been going for in part 2 showcases the growth of these characters. And I'm going to bring this back to, I was talking about, shock factor. Being surprised every week when there was a new chapter and something crazy happened, something emotionally gutting happened. It kept you on your toes, part 1. But what I've learned is that shock value, surprise, can only really take you so far in a story before the audience is not surprised anymore. They're not shocked anymore. And that's why I think this progression is right for Chainsaw Man. To focus more inward on its characters, their reactions to situations they're being put in. We're seeing, even within, no one knows how far into part 2 of Chainsaw Man we really are, but even Asa, since we first met her, has changed a great deal. This is the kind of thing, this is the kind of growth where maybe surprise and shock won't work anymore. And while I don't think it was leaned on in part 1 of Chainsaw Man had incredible storytelling and incredible characters, I think we're seeing a depth to these characters that we didn't see in part 1, even including someone like Aki Hayakawa. He was a complex character. I do think we're going to see depths of these new characters that we didn't see even in him, in Power, in Makima. I think this is much more intimate and detailed storytelling when it comes to this story's characters. In terms of where the story is actually going from here, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. This new girl has come in, she's grabbed on Denji's, I think more interesting than this girl's identity is Yoshida's. Yoshida's been around for a lot of part 2 of Chainsaw Man now, and still the audience really doesn't know much about him or his plans or his goals. And I think that sort of mystique, there's clearly some overseeing presence overall of part 2 of Chainsaw Man. Somebody is in the background pulling these strings. Who it is, we don't exactly know. We don't know why Yoshida has told Denji to stop, not just told, demanded Denji stop fighting, why he's trying so hard to get this to happen. Although we are seeing, normal people, students in the school getting into fights, the Church of Chainsaw Man or whatever the hell it's called, is out in the streets fighting against protesters. Chainsaw Man has become a big presence in the world, and I know that the less feared he is, the weaker he becomes, but this doesn't have to do with fear. This has to do with more attention more than anything. I don't know what Yoshida's plan is here. I don't know why someone like Famine is in on it, but this sort of unfolding mystery that's been happening over the course of part 2 has made it interesting, and it's kept me coming back for sure. one of the many things that's kept me coming back. But listen, if you've given up on Chainsaw Man Part 2, if you don't like Chainsaw Man Part 2, if you strongly prefer Part 1, just stick it out, give it a shot. Clearly something is happening here. Something's going to begin happening. The ball is going to get rolling. I've been really enjoying where Part 2 is. Honestly, a lot of it feels like it's some sort of situational, like a sitcom on TV. And I've really liked it. So wherever it goes from here, I'm excited. I do think the action's going to pick up. I did say in my last video that I think we're going to get some Denji-centric chapters, and that's exactly what we got with 136. So if you're not a fan, I say just stick it out. It's gonna get going, I promise. It will. But just try to understand the point I was making before, that this is a different Chainsaw Man. This is a different Denji that we're dealing with. Even Asa has changed over the course of so few chapters. Yoru has changed over the course of so few chapters. And it's really just, it's been interesting to see the journeys that these characters have been through. And I don't want to call it growth, because I don't think that these characters have really all truly grown, but they definitely have changed. And I'm just excited to see where it's going. So let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the newest chapter. It was really funny, and I think a lot of Part 2 has been kind of funny, actually. It's really had its moments, so I've been enjoying that too. Also, quickly, before I end things off, if you're still watching, thanks a lot. I just want to talk about the fact I made that comment earlier that another girl is here to destroy some sense of Denji's idealized sort of sense of intimacy. But it is true, yet again, and we're seeing in a movie theater someplace that was extremely special for Denji. When Makima took him there, it was a big sort of moment of realization for Denji. And now to have another girl come in, and I don't know, who knows, maybe Denji likes it. Knowing him, he probably does, but to do something a little sussy at the movie theater, I'm curious to see what that does to Denji. He's, like I said, he's been walking around like a sad puppy. I don't know how much longer he's gonna, be able to take this. He asked Yoshida if this is a normal life that he's living, and Yoshida said, yeah, this is life without Chainsaw Man for you now. And I don't think Denji likes it. So we're gonna see, there's gonna be some conflict soon that Denji's gonna be at the center of. I hope. Even if not, I'd love to see where this story's going with Asa, and props for creating a brand new character that already, has become such a fan sort of favorite. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll let you actually leave now. Bye-bye. Yeah, let me know what you thought of the new chapter, and stick around. I'd love to talk to you. Hope to see you again real soon. Bye-bye.